In a moment, I'm going to be asking you to stand and join us in a salute to the flag. But following the salute to the flag, I'd ask that you remain standing for a moment of silence for two recent deaths in the community. The first, and you probably saw a memorandum in your mailbox today, was the passing of firefighter Stephen Jakes. He passed away on Tuesday. He had served on the Attleboro Fire Department for 27 years, retiring on March 30th of this year. His brother is the deputy fire chief within the city, and again, a dedicated servant of the city who passed away. The other gentleman was Joseph Bono, who was known to some people within on the city council. He was actually 91 at the time of his passing, a veteran of World War II. And in addition, he really made his mark in Attleboro as a teacher, but he was very instrumental in the music programs, not only at Attleboro. He was a music teacher. He was eventually the head and the director of the high school music programs, actually from 1953 until 1985, which is a remarkable amount of time. But he also, at the same time, Attleboro, as some of you know, used to have a concert band. He actually played the clarinet in that band, and he was a member of other organizations dealing with music within the city of Attleboro. So again, to both of these gentlemen, we wanted to just pass along our condolences to their families and friends and loved ones, and also thank them for their service to the city for so many years. So again, following the Pledge of Allegiance, if you just remain standing for a moment of silence, that'd be great. So let's stand for the salute to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Again, just to kind of go over what the game plan is going to be on this evening. Basically, what we're going to be doing is having kind of a combination of the second and fourth meetings, the first and third and second and fourth meetings of the month. So what for this first part, we will be having, in a few moments, I'll be asking for a motion to suspend the rules, because we are going to be having a presentation, as we always have in the summer, from the Big Read, in which they announce publicly the book for this year. This is something they've been doing for several years. We're going to go through the procedure for the regular meeting, but most of the things that we normally have scheduled on a regular meeting night aren't going on this evening. For example, there is no public hearing scheduled for this evening. But then we'll be taking a recess. We'll do the committee meetings, then we'll come back and we'll do the committee reports, and just finish up the rest of the meeting at that point. Okay, so that'll be kind of the game plan. So again, just first as we begin, just a reminder to those in attendance and my colleagues, if you have a cell phone or similar device, please turn it off if it does interfere with our broadcast to the rest of the city. Again, I'm going to be holding the minutes. There is no public hearing this evening. But again, I would at this time entertain a motion to suspend the rules. Thank you. The motion is in order. We'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Delicio.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mrs. Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes.
8 yeas, 0 nays.
The motion passes. We're operating under suspended rules. And the first, as I said, the primary reason why we were doing this was to have the presentation by the Big Read people. So at this time, I would invite our library director, and I'm not sure who else is, if Russ is going to be coming up also, but if you could just introduce the people you're with and get the ball rolling. Thank you.
Thank you. I should be taller. The Big Read book this year is The Beautiful Things That Heaven Bears by Dino Mengistu from Ethiopia. I'd just like to make a remark about from whence this title comes, and this is a quote. To get back up to the shining world from there, my guide and I went into that hidden tunnel, and following its path, we too no care to rest, but climbed. He first, and I so far, through a round aperture, I saw appear some of the beautiful things that heaven bears, where we came forth, and once more saw the stars, Dante, the Inferno.
We're going to tag team for you tonight.
Okay.
We are going to take this community on a very different adventure. This year is a serious year for us, for the Big Read. As you know, we try to do a serious year and then a fun year. So this is our serious year. This particular book, after everyone read it, said it was the most profound book that we have read out of the Big Reads list so far. And we've basically read them all and tried to figure out a way to make the book fit in our community. When we chose it last December, we didn't realize the tone in the country and how much this would be even more current and poignant and necessary at this time. So first I'd like to say is Tadias, which is my best version of Amharic, which is the native tongue of Ethiopia, to say hello. And I want to thank you all for letting us do this once again. A few things I learned about Ethiopia. For one, the main thing we have to remind everyone is Africa is a continent. So many people, because you live in a great big country, think of Africa as the country. But it is a continent made of numerous countries, and within those countries there are numerous languages and tribes and individuals. So it's a very, very different from anything we've ever experienced. And as I researched this, one of the things that struck me was I was looking at the issue of coups in Africa. And between 1946 and 2004, I'll just pass this around. This is a very small print list of 7 pages of coups in African countries. It really struck me at how lucky we are. I mean, I know I'm lucky to be an American, but reading this book and seeing this list, it really hits you. In every book we've read, there's been an aspect of finding yourself. In this particular book, the main character, Cephas, has left, and he basically is someone who's totally disengaged in his life from the beginning. This 228-page book only covers 6 months within his life, but it takes you back. It takes you back to what happened through a letter his uncle wrote in one section. It takes you back through what he's trying to remember that he left behind at the age of 16. It's he and his 2 friends, one from the Congo and one from Kenya, going out drinking and shouting out a country and a year, and you have to say, oh, that was so-and-so who led that coup. And this is a game that they can probably play every Thursday night for the rest of their life and never run out of things or facts of what's going on. So let me just say, there are so many themes in this book. I just recently read it for the 2nd time. And this author, it's his first novel. He left Ethiopia during the Red Terror when he was 2. He's gone to Columbia University. He's a phenomenal writer. When I read this book the 2nd time, I realized how much about our country and how much about Africa are written in those pages, and how much is written about the immigrant experience, but also the refugee experience, the person who didn't leave because they wanted to. So I do want to say welcome to our 10th anniversary Attleboro's Big Read. This year we're tackling the essence of forced emigration through the haunting first novel of Dina Mengistu. In The Beautiful Things That Heaven Bears, Mengistu shares the Washington, D.C. story of an Ethiopian immigrant, Sefa. his two friends, and life in the Logan Circle neighborhood of the 1990s. All three have left their homelands of Ethiopia, Kenya, and the Congo due to upheavals which do not allow them to ever return. This book is fiction, but actually what he writes about in the 1990s about Logan Circle is what was happening. One of the characters, the uncle in this book, and what happened to Sepha's father happened to family members of Dinah before his family left. Each of these three characters try on the persona of being American in their own ways, yet their time together is spent remembering their past because they cannot forget the atrocities that were left behind. Through Sepha, we feel this struggle of living in two places, or in his case, not really living in either. He almost is talking about his life and life as though he's just telling a story and a good part of this book. Mengistu takes us on Sepha's journey as he begins to come to terms with the past and possibly sees a glimmer of a future for himself in this country. There are several opportunities that we're going to offer to understand the refugee story and that quest to find home. And one of the things that we've learned when we work so closely with the Literacy Center, who would have sent a class tonight, but it's their graduation, is that how important it is to have that sense of home. Whether you moved here 35 years ago, you moved down from Boston, or you moved here from another country, it's really tough to find that sense of belonging and that sense of home in today's world. So the sponsors of our events this year include the Attleboro Arts Museum, the Attleboro Industrial Museum, BCC, the Y, the Council of Churches, the Library, the Friends of the Library, the Literacy Center, the Culinary Arts Program at the high school, the public schools, the Council on Aging, the Writers Group, the Community Visiting Nurses, the Sun Chronicle, AACS, and Bridgewater State, Bishop Fan, and the many volunteers who bring this to life. In this year's Big Read, themes such as identity, belonging, friendship, and memories present themselves in the art exhibits, programs, writing series, and discussions. We're kicking off in September with the art exhibit called Distinguishing Features. And this brings us an art in response to the novel's theme of struggling with how to live with and maintain memories. Sepha is trying very hard to remember his father and the things that he did with him. His family in Ethiopia, his father was a lawyer. They were a professional, well-to-do family. Bristol Community College also opens that weekend with the Manhattan Film Festival, which brings a phenomenal sense of international cultures. So we see that as being very important this year. There's going to be a walk that's being sponsored by the Y. We're going to start at the Y rooftop and get a rooftop view of the neighborhood, and then with the Industrial Museum and some information from the Historical Commission, we're going to go on a 2-mile walk through some of the downtown neighborhoods, take a stop at the Industrial Museum, see some of how Attleboro used to be, where we are now, where we think we're going, as a way to get a sense of this community. What's it been? Where's it going? What is it now? And how do we get people to know and to understand where they live? There will be Kathy Hickman will be leading a book talk with a couple of Wheaton professors on finding home, universal themes, and personal reflections, and with the visiting nurses. The Council of Churches and the Literacy Center will present a night of our immigrant stories. How they came here and how they belong within our community, how they have found their place within our community. The Friends of Attleboro Public Library and the Literacy Center will bring their acclaimed international coffee and tea. And what you have in front of you is organic grown Ethiopian coffee. And the reason you have salt as well as sugar is they drink it black with either salt or sugar. So you have a choice. We have more sugar than salt, but there's enough salt to go around. But that's to just give you a taste of Ethiopia and to remind you that on October, I think it's the 22nd in the morning, we will be having coffees from many countries throughout the world. We've done it before. We usually get about 12 different teas and coffees for folks to try, and just a nice social gathering, and you meet the individuals making it. Hopefully someone else will make you Ethiopian coffee and not just me. But what's really going to be a coup, and Rusty's working hard, and we're so close to pulling it off, is we're working with he is working with the culinary arts department at the high school to present an African dinner as our finale. There will be a slight cost to it, and we're working to get a sponsor to make it a slight cost. But we think that would be a really nice way to showcase that department and bring people together to, just have another taste of another country. We're trying very hard to find someone, and we have someone in mind that we're trying to work with to do something on African history. Again, it would be the continent, but just why is there such turmoil, which, has a lot to do with colonization and the diversity. But I think it's something that would be important for us to try to do. So we want, first of all, to especially thank our sponsor this year. We are this year an affiliate of the Big Read, but we get to call ourselves Attleboro's Big Read for the first time because the affiliate came with all of the materials that they offer, but no money. So when we found that out in April, we were wondering what we were going to do. So the Friends approached Bristol County Savings Bank. So our funding this year is coming through Bristol County Savings Bank. This is the drawing that was done by Abby and Mim at the museum. The bus ads will be on the back of the bus, and it will include this. All our materials will include this as our banner this year. I don't know if you've known, but the museum has created our banners every year for the Big Read. We haven't used their stuff. We've created it internally. The bank gave us a statement. They're committed to investing in the communities that they serve by supporting both local initiatives. A major area of focus is education and literacy, so the Attleboro's Big Read program is a perfect match. It is our hope that the program's activities, including the sharing of a good book, will inspire learning, conversation, and discovery within the Attleboro community. We also want to thank the Attleboro Cultural Council. Every year they sponsor the art exhibit. They give us a grant, and their program is supported in part by a grant through the Massachusetts Cultural Council as well. So, there is so much to say about this book. You can read this book as just a story. You can look at it again and start to realize there's a lot of quotes from literature. The Dante quote is one character's feel of what Africa is about. It's coming out of hell and finally coming somewhere where you can see the light. You're not quite there, but you can see the light. His ability to talk about what the experience is to be from a totally different culture and immerse yourself in the States is so well written. There are issues with gentrification. Logan Circle was originally a very wealthy community within Washington, D.C. In the 60s, 70s, 80s, it really was no longer that. It is, at this time, it's an African neighborhood. It is boarded up in many instances. There's not a lot happening, but people are moving in. And there was a situation with someone who moved in who had money and rehabbed a beautiful home. And the reaction to some of that, I thought, was extremely well written. And there's a quote by her to the effect of, she realizes it may not be just that she had the money to not only buy a 4-story home just for her and her daughter, but to totally rehab it. But it's also not evil. And I think that's kind of that whole dichotomy of how do you bring an area, back and deal with those issues of how much money that takes and how do you make that fair. He's written this in so many ways beautifully. One of the things we're going to do, because one of the things his uncle does is write to President Carter. He has some letters that Sepha finds, and that's when one of them was about Sepha's father. And he wrote to Carter about the Red Terror because Ethiopia was our ally, and he felt the way you learn history, you help your allies. So there's so many aspects to this book that are really so well written, intriguing, and it touches on it, and you realize you learn a lot. So we hope you'll join us. We are going to hand out books. If you have a chance, we'd love to get a picture of you guys together with the books. But I think this is this going to be different? Well, every year is different. Every year truly is. I'm still digesting this, having just read it again, and I will read it even again, because I know I'm going to find something else in it. But all of that is within 228 pages. It's phenomenal. It's amazing. So I thank you.
Well, again, thank you,
And
Joan.
wait,
And
we have one more thing.
oh, okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. I won't take much more of your time. Thank you for the time anyway. Anybody who's watching the Olympics who doesn't believe that America is still a melting pot places, with all the different people with different ethnic backgrounds competing and representing our country in the Olympics. It's just terrific. As Joan said, there's a graduation ceremony at the Literacy Center today. We could have had 50 people here from 50 different countries, and we're very glad to have our friend Shamim here and her husband from Tanzania. Glad to come by. I'll just read a real brief passage from the book itself. As Joan mentioned, the main character has come to this country without his parents who are dead. How long did it take for me to understand that I was never going to return to Ethiopia again? It seems as if there should have been a particular moment when the knowledge settled in. For at least the first 2 years that I was here, I was so busy passing my mother, brother, father, and friends in the aisles of grocery stores and parks and restaurants that at times it hardly felt as if I had really left. I searched for familiarity. Wherever I went, I found it in the buildings and in the layouts of the streets. I saw glimpses of homes whenever I came across 3 or 4 roads that intersected at odd angles. In the squat glass office buildings caught in the sun's glare, I found a small measure of it in the circles and in the beggars who slept under the office towers at night. I used to let my imagination get the best of me. My hallucinations of home became standard. I welcomed them into my day completely. I talked to my mother from across the bus. I walked home with my father across the spare, treeless campus of my Northern Virginia community college. We talked for hours.
Well, Joan and Rusty, I want to thank you on behalf of the council.
Welcome. Thank
Not
you.
only for coming tonight, but also for your leadership in this area over the last 10 years that we've been working, that you've been working on this and introducing this and getting the entire community involved. I would say that I haven't been as active on that committee as I have sometimes in the past, but Joan gave me a copy of this back in the spring, around the time the title was being chosen. And I'll just echo what Joan and Rusty said. You got a flavor of it by what Rusty just read. But I found I could not put the book down. It is exceptionally well written. I was very much, when I first read it, I'd never heard of this author, and I read the back, and it was a little bit intriguing. The Logan Circle area, what this is talking about, just as it was beginning to change. I remember being on trips to Washington, D.C. on numerous occasions, and probably about 10 years after the setting of that when it had changed, and being in the Logan Circle area. So a lot of it was coming back to mind at that point. But an exceptionally well-written book. And in terms of, I like your comment about when you chose the book and what the country has become in recent months, with everybody basically being totally ticked off, all the time, and just kind of like the conflicts, interpersonal conflicts that we're having and so forth over so many issues in the country. It really spoke to it. And as I said, it was, of all the books that we picked, I have to admit and I was familiar with some of the other books and I had read them, but this was one I found I just could not put down. It was like I looked forward to picking up and reading it, every day. And at the end I was slowing down because I didn't want it to end. Mm-hmm. So it's very, 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 very well done. So we're looking forward to being part of this, process as a community, and thank you for all the planning and to your organization and the others. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, you say you want to get a
It
picture?
works because of the partners. We have phenomenal
Absolutely.
partners. And the Attleboro Industrial Museum joined us this year. They came to us and said, what can we do? So, it works because of the partners and because of the community. I mean, we considered not doing it when we didn't get the grant. And what was happening is people were coming in the library in the spring saying, what's it going to be? What's it going to be? Tell us, when can we find out? And I was like, uh-oh. Maybe we can't stop this. And really having the bank step forward for us was what saved us.
Right.
So, but thank you all. Thanks.
I can actually echo that to a certain extent, because to me, one of the highlights of the summer meetings that we have, the few that we have, is that I know that on one of the nights, the Big Read will be here making that. And I had heard from other people in some cases saying, when do they come in? They didn't come in July. Are we going to be doing it? So there was that interest already out there. So,
Yeah.
Does anybody have any comments or questions? Councilor Parika.
This is like this to echo President Cook's sentiment. This is one of the most exciting nights of council, where it's very happy and pleasant. And one of the best parts about being a city councilor is we get the book first. You do. And that makes me so excited. I love to be able to go home tonight, and this will be how I start the download. But I just wanted to say, I'm listening to all of your events, and I'm reflecting on your events that you've had for the past Big Reads, and it's always so creative. And I just want to say thank you to you and your group and all of your sponsors and supporters, because you're very thoughtful and creative. Really super creative in how you kind of make this book kind of come alive for our community. So thank you, Joan.
Oh, you're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
And the school department this year is really on board. Lori Regan and Dave Sawyer, they are going to have the 7th graders read a companion book called Seed Folks,
Nice.
which is about a garden set up on an empty lot in a community.
Great book.
If I may-
That's a
It's
great
an
book.
awesome book.
If I may, I went to the Lincoln School, and that was to speak to them about being a city councilor and farmers market, things like that. And that was their gift to me. All of the girls highlighted the characters that they liked the best, and that is an unbelievable book to read, to see how you can convert a community around a garden. It's really terrific.
Joan, I see also that you have dressed somewhat in African colors, and especially the necklace.
Only slightly. I got the necklace, but I get something every year.
Right.
That was it.
That's why I wanted to mention it.
Yeah.
We love the
Thank you.
snakes.
Right.
This is actually, I was saying, this bracelet my sister gave me, and it's actually made of grass from Africa rolled up into beads. And we will have, a lot of stuff on display in the library. My older sister worked in refugee camps in Kenya, which this person in the book went to in Uganda. So I have things that I have a lot of things, so we're going to put them on display in the building.
Did you want to recognize the two guests that came? I saw you go back and greet them.
Well,
If you'd like to bring them up, that way we can all hear.
say hello.
It's better with this.
Yeah, right at the microphone, everybody can hear. And good evening. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for inviting. My name is Shamin. I'm from Africa, and I'm from Tanzania. Yeah, my whole family, they are from Africa, and everybody is over here. They've been here for at least 40 years.
Wow.
My kids are here too. So, and me and my husband, we are here too.
Well, welcome.
Yes, we live in Attleboro. Thank you for inviting.
You're most welcome, and thank you.
Thank you.
For being here as part of the Big Read
Yes,
kickoff
thank you.
on this book. So,
Thank you for being part of our city.
Yeah, thank you.
right. Thank you, and welcome.
Thank you.
Right.
The Literacy Center does a phenomenal job. They
Yes.
really do, of making people part of this community. They get involved in so many things. I mean, we have a lot to be proud of here.
Right. Pretty good.
Joan, I just want to tell you, I tried the coffee, both flavors, one with the salt.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was a little bit.
Yeah.
But I put a little sugar in. Mark, he was kind enough to lend me his,
Yeah.
and it's really good.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah, just a
good.
little tad of sugar.
Just a tad.
You can have Sarah's. Go ahead and try hers.
Yeah. Oh, good.
The salt was pretty tough.
Thank you very much for the treat.
Were you going to take a break now, or?
Yeah, you wanted to get a picture, I understand.
wanted to get a picture.
Actually, I am going to be taking a break probably within the next 5 minutes or so.
Oh, that's fine.
So if you want to just wait, because,
Yeah?
right, roughly about 5 minutes. Okay, so thank you. The next item actually is, there was a Vance communication, there's one item. So Mr. Withers, if you'd like to just read that?
I'd be happy to. August 18th, 2016, dear municipal councilors, I respectfully submit a communication from Election Commission Chairman George Spatcher regarding the need for funding and staff allocation. The reduction of force that was planned for July 1st, 2016 was extended to November 28th, 2016, and causes the need for funding in the amount of $8,879.42 for this time period. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body to approve a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $8,879.42 to account election salary. In addition, there still exists the need for additional staff coverage during the election season, especially with the implementation of early voting as required by law. It was my administration's plan, in conjunction with the Elections Office, to cover the additional staff needs with the Constituent Services Administrator. As your honorable body did not discuss the reduction of staff in my office with me in order to fully understand the impact of that staff reduction, this further causes another issue that now impacts the election office. Currently, other departments within City Hall have their own personnel demands and limitations that do not allow to provide such ongoing coverage. As such, the board further recommends the reinstatement of the Constituent Service Administrator. Copies in your packets.
Ordinances, Elections, and Legislative Matters Committee, please.
Sincerely, Kevin J. Dumas, Mayor.
Thank you. And there is no other communication for this evening. I am just going to quickly make a motion to go into committee of the whole.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. The motion's in order. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. If there's anyone here with business to bring to the attention of the city council, now would be the appropriate time. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to arise.
Second?
Thank you. The motion is in order. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, so we're back to the regular business. At this time, I am going to, in a moment, I'm going to call for a recess so that we can have the picture that was taken. We can also do any of the committees that need to be meeting this evening. I know some met the other night. For example, Councilors Perico and Hall, George DeJour the other night. Some of the others are going to be waiting, and some are covering for other people also at this night. So at this time, I would entertain a motion for a recess.
Second?
Thank you. The motion's in order. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. We're in recess at 7:30. So first, before we go anywhere, let's have Joan, just wherever you want us to meet. Maybe we don't, before we scatter, just gather here in the middle.
Right underneath your sign.
Well, I was wondering if you
Will fit.
when you fit on here.
No, but I know, I read it all.
So just, I just would ask, recommend something else in the
Yeah, I think
so
that's a
did that
recommendation. No. I'm actually,
I might not sleep.
All they do is, it's like a letter.
Just, yep.
Public Safety and Emergency Management, the order at 7:41 from the docket of August 18, 2016. I entertain a motion in accordance with Chapter 1, Section 12 of the revised ordinance of the City of Attleboro to approve the mayor's request to accept and approve the expenditure of approximately $11,500 in FY15 Edward Bryan Memorial Justice Assisted Grant Funds from the New Bedford Police Department and the U.S. Department of Justice to be used by the Attleboro Police Department to pay for overtime incurred from a variety of prevention and enforcement efforts throughout the community. No match is required by the City of Attleboro, and the funds must be extended no later than September 30th, 2018.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Just kudos to our grant writers. We're very fortunate to get this every year. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. From the docket of August 18, 2016, I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request for a supplemental appropriation of $21,730 to account 12101-000-524011, police maintenance of buildings for the police department to have prisoner cell door glass and locks inspected and to make every necessary repair to maintain security and functionality.
Second.
Okay. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. We've had problems with those right along, with the doors.
Yeah, I have a couple questions.
Sure.
You ready? So I was curious, so, I was a little curious about this. First and foremost, I support it, but I wanted to get a couple answers first. So I was just curious about when did this incident happen, if you know?
Incident?
Yeah, because if you read the backup documentation, it says there was a prisoner who was able to compromise the cell and things like that. So I was just curious when the incident
Do I
happened.
exactly know? No, ma'am.
Okay, and then this is a project that has been rolling around in the capital improvements plan for quite some time. And the cost of the project in the CIP was $28,965. And so I guess what I'm curious about, just in order to get additional information, that's the basis for what my questions are always, is it, so it says it's for inspection and then repairs and replacement if that's necessary. So I didn't know if there was a differentiate, like what the split was for inspection. Is it for all the doors? Because there is a big difference between the $28,965 and the $21,730. So I just didn't know.
Maybe that's an up-to-date estimate. I didn't think I had to call the chief today to get a breakdown on this. I thought it was pretty self-explanatory when it involves safety of our prisoners and the repair.
Agreed. I already said that I'm in support of this. However, I was just looking for some more information.
You want to put those in writing? I'll see the chief gets them.
I would love to. I
Okay,
have them
thank you.
written.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of August 18, 2016, I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request for a supplemental appropriation of $25,000 to account 1210000-524230, police maintenance of vehicles, to cover the costs associated with vehicle repairs performed by an outside mechanic while a police department mechanic is out of work for an extended period of time.
Second.
This particular mechanic over there, I know he's come in and he shouldn't even be on his leg. This allows us, and I did look into this one because I was curious to make sure it was a reputable local repair shop that was doing the work. And it is probably one of the, I really don't want to mention the name because it just would look down on another repair shop. And, but in my opinion, probably the best in town. And I think he was probably not looking for work, but willing to serve the community. Yes, Mr. Delicio.
Thank you, Councilor Blair. I think it's important also to recognize the Highway Department for their help in transition with the mechanic over there as well. But the workload's just become too much. So I agree with your sentiments, and thank you to all the help over there.
May I comment back to that? You know, we're still doing the check the oil, check the antifreeze type of thing that they get going in-house up until this time, unless they've pulled it. But they can't do any more than that. But they were very, very helpful when this happened. Okay. Mr. Conti.
So is the $25,000 just for labor, or is that labor and parts?
To be honest with you, I would assume, and I'm only assuming, that the parts would be at least discounted or be put on our account that we maintain in several parts departments.
I think that would be a good practice. If we could buy the parts through the way that we normally buy the parts, I think we get special pricing.
Not any, believe me, I was in the business. I bought better than the police department.
Really?
Yes. Ms. Hall?
Yes, thank you so much. I think at least the way I'm reading it, it says to cover the costs associated with the vehicle repairs performed. I'm going to make an assumption that part of the costs associated would be all associated costs. So, obviously, you're not going to go, I would think.
Little note, maybe finish this conversation.
Okay.
It's labor only.
Oh, good, okay.
Can I just add it?
Sure, it's your
Thank
turn.
you.
Committee
Thank
members,
you. You didn't recognize.
committee members first.
Okay, that's fine. So there'll be repeated moments this evening that I will reference the extensive conversation that I had with Deb Gould today, because I had some questions as it pertains to supplemental appropriations and where they come from, but I'll talk about that later. Just as a point of interest, potentially, for some people, this particular account, maintenance of vehicles, is a newly created account for the police department because we normally, vehicles are normally maintained out of the chief's revolving fund, but now because we have to pay an external source, it needs to be transferred over to this maintenance of vehicles. So as a comment to you, that normally, like, we pay for oil filters and all the fluid, all that kind of stuff, that comes out of the revolving fund, and I don't have clarification on how we're going to manage that out. So whether
I had got a note.
that it's labor only.
It's labor only,
It's a line item.
and it comes from the top, so I would assume it's fine.
That's fine, but again, just as a point of clarification,
Yeah.
if you were wondering if this account ever existed before, it didn't. It's brand new.
So it sounds like a line
Yes,
item.
Mr. Hall.
Not mistaken. Yeah, so it's a line item now in the police department, is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Any other questions, comments?
Problem with that.
Yes,
I do.
Ms. Jackson.
Thank you. First of all, I'm going to support this, of course, because we have to have the police cars on the road. But I have a couple of questions. How many mechanics do we actually have in the city of Attleboro? Do you know? Like, does every single department have their own mechanic, or one or two? Or
Wastewater has one that does various duties, plus works on the equipment down there. Water department has a mechanic that works on their equipment, other than big equipment, same as wastewater gets sent out. There's certain stuff we can't do.
Right, and I remember you said Tuesday night, you said something about, because you were in the business,
Yeah.
but you weren't in a specialized business
Right.
of fixing, I forget what it was, but.
Transmissions.
Transmissions, thank you. So I guess my question is, what kind of specialty problems, issues would be wrong with a police car? Would it be
Could be electronics, Katie, it could be, we all are familiar with check engine lights, I assume.
And I'm sure sometimes they have to get sent out, like a fire truck has to get sent out sometimes for certain things,
This
radios and things like that.
particular gentleman and his business is well-equipped to take care of automobiles, light-duty trucks, not in the business of fixing bulldozers, 10-wheelers, that type of thing, but he's...
So maybe in the future, for next year, maybe we could take a look at how many mechanics we have in the city of Attleboro and start doing what we're doing now in City Hall, where we'll have other mechanics from other departments do the oil changes, the rotation on the tires. We have that big public works yard now. But I think it's something we should, as we go forward, calculate how many mechanics we have in the city of Attleboro and see how we can utilize them, not to make a mechanic lose his job out of the police department, I'm just saying, but maybe in this type of an incident, we can rally around and take care of it ourselves as much as we can. That's all. I think it's something we should collectively look at next year.
If I might, Katie, just reference that, Ms. Jackson. The mechanics that we have down at the highway yard, for instance, right? It's mostly heavy equipment. And even in today's world with cars and the electronics and the computers, we're not up to date with that, Katie. I've been an advocate of a city garage for years. You served with me before. I think if you remember, I said that we ought to look into a city garage. But when we do, we have to look at paying the pay scale.
So that's what I mean. We don't have to discuss it now.
Oh, okay.
But I think it should be something we should discuss next year before we get into our budget time.
Yeah,
and take a look at it collectively.
I totally agree,
and maybe
but
we can
we
consolidate
have
some things.
have to prepare ourselves for
Because
a
there'll
real
be
awakening.
specialty things that they'll have to be able to do, but at least we can do that.
Mr. Conti?
Yes, I'd ask through the chair for Councilor Jackson to coalesce your thoughts and put it in the form of a new business item so that it actually gets on the agendas in some department or the
Okay, I'll be
administration.
happy to.
Or the administration.
Thank you, I will.
Ms. Hall?
Yes, I'm going to actually request through the president that we find out what's the status of the CBEC committee, because this is a perfect example of where some of these things come up, that could be perfectly staffed by a group who could do that work for us and report back to us, as well as other things that have come up on this council before. So I would like to find out what the status is of that new business that myself and Councilor Silicio put in several months ago.
It's, there's always that room to look into something like that. And I was an advocate of a city garage a long time ago. Frank?
No, just getting back to Council Colley, I will do that.
Thank you so much.
I know he came in at the last meeting in June.
Yeah.
We've only had a couple meetings, so
Yeah,
I'll
we've had a
I'll
few
follow
things
up.
come up, and that would lend itself perfectly to this kind of analysis, so, thank you.
Okay, any other questions or this time? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. From the docket of August 18, 2016, I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request to approve Fire Chief Scott LaChance issuance of a refund for a previous fiscal year reimbursement. No monetary transfer is required.
Second.
Can I have a second? Yeah, okay. This particular instance is a person that paid for an ambulance ride, then before it was submitted to Medicare, Medicare paid for that ambulance ride or whatever they come up with their rate. So in essence, we owe this person the money they paid in for the ambulance ride. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. From the docket of August 18, 2016, I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request to approve Fire Chief Scott LaChance's request to pay a prior year bill for a paramedic recertification fees. No monetary transfer is required.
Second.
I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. That's all that I have this evening for the Committee on Public Safety. Move to adjourn at 7:56.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much.
I have license, do you want me to, or do you need? Okay.
Thank you.
You what? Nothing. Yeah, we're just having one on this one. Yeah, we're going this way.
I haven't done this in a long time. I'm going to call my meeting to order. Just kidding. You feel good. I'd like to call Public Works Committee meeting to order at 7:56. I have 3 items this evening to discuss with all of you. I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request to transfer $2,000 from account 6000-524240 wastewater enterprise fund equipment maintenance to account 6000-578020 wastewater enterprise fund previous year bills to be used by the wastewater department to pay a bill from fiscal year 2016.
Second.
Thank you. This transfer request is needed to pay a bill for work that was done on the filter press and filter feeder pumps. They don't stock spare part kits on their shelves, and it's to be used towards these repairs. And that will complete the end of this little task that they did, which we had started, I guess, back in, I think, in May. So, any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, motion passes. Secondly, I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request for a supplemental appropriation of $47,865 to the following accounts to pay for permanent street repairs to 3 temporary patches due to water main breaks throughout the city, resulting in just under 10,000 square feet of roadway and the associated cost for police details. $40,345 to account 14201-000-553010 Public Works Street Maintenance Supplies, and $7,520, to account 14201-000-530101 Public Works Professional Services.
Second.
Thank you. There were several, well, 3 water main breaks, big ones, that need to be in repair. I'm going to let you know where they are. These locations are on Emery Street at Forest, George I. Drive, and at Bishop Street. And as you can see, Mr. Hill has divided it up between the repairs and fixing the roads, and also between the police detail itself. And we were given, actually, in our communication Tuesday evening, a breakdown exactly how much is going into each repair. Any questions, any comments? Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Chairman Jackson. I was, again, this was another topic of conversation that I had today, and I was curious why this didn't qualify for Chapter 90 funds, if you know. I know it's hard. Well, so here's the thing. I'm asking the question knowing that Lance is on vacation, so then it's really difficult to obtain that information. So I didn't mean to do that in that manner.
That's
I
all
should
right.
have prefaced it with, I know Lance is on vacation, so I know. So I just didn't know if there was an alternative way to find that information.
Well, there is, but not at this moment. But yes, I can let you know.
That would be great.
But I'm still going to bring, do you have a problem with me bringing it out this evening? But I'll let you know. I'm sure he would have used the funding if he could have.
Sure.
Why he isn't, because he doesn't want to use it now. But excuse me, I'm just going to reference now to Council Blair, because maybe he knows. Thank you. Council Blair?
Just through my experience over 16 years on Public Works, that particular repair doesn't fall under it's maintenance. That's a water department, first of all, break that caused this. We do fix that, but you have to, there's a certain number of feet that you have to inquire if they were gonna, I forget what it is, don't hold me to it, 200 feet, 300 feet? 5? None of these meet that standard anyway.
That would make sense. That's why you put it, it's under 10,000.
I just didn't know if
But, you
we
know,
had-
thank you, Mr. Blair. I appreciate your clarification on that.
I'm
with your
just trying to
experience.
clarify something.
Thank you very, very much.
If a follow-up question on that, if you don't
Please,
mind.
go ahead.
So I'm curious, and again, I would like to rely on your expertise.
No, that's
that
perfectly all right. You
if-
don't have to.
No, I would. I guess my question would be is that where this is a water department issue, and it was due to a water main break, why wouldn't we get an appropriate? Why wouldn't the water department have to? I know that there are two different departments with the
The
paving and things like
initial
that.
repair is made by the water department. They do the repair, they do a patch on their half, and the final repair on that street is a city responsibility, not the water department. When they do the repair, if you've watched them, they come in with blacktop, they blacktop them, we let them sit a while, then the city takes over and do the repairs. You get some settlement, and it's been that way ever since I've been here, and it's by protocol or whatever you want to call it. That's the way it operates. The water department fixes a repair. That goes on your water department. They fill it, they provide the fill, they provide the blacktop, but after a while, these repairs need a permanent repair, which is citywide, not strictly, because the streets get used by the public, not just the one that's drinking water.
No, I understand. I just was curious, you know, again, it would, if I may redirect, I apologize. Thank you very much for your explanation. I live right at the Emery and Forest one. That was always a lot, for the last few weeks, it's been a little bit of a challenge. So I'm just asking questions for clarification, and I appreciate your comments.
And thank you, and since I don't know the answer to the question too, thank you, Mr. Blair, but I will follow up with that and let you
I
know.
appreciate that.
Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thirdly, my last motion is something you do every single year. I entertain a motion in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 31D, to approve the mayor's request to approve deficit spending in the following accounts for snow removal expenditures during fiscal year 2017. From account 1423100-513010, snow ice control overtime snow removal. 1423100-519120, snow ice control allowance meals. 1423100-524240, snow ice control maintenance of equipment. And 1423100-529080, snow ice control snow plowing services. And 1423100-533030, snow ice control street sweeping. 1423100-548010, snow ice control gasoline. 1423100-548011, snow ice control diesel fuel. 1423100-548040, snow ice control supplies equipment. And 1423100-5533030, snow ice control supply salt. 1423100-5434040, snow ice control supply sand. 1423100-587066, snow ice control capital snow equipment. Well, it's self-explanatory. It's something we have to do in accordance with Mass General Law. I don't want to think about snow at all right now, and I'm hoping I did see something on the news that the Farmer's Almanac, I know it said it's going to be heavy, but I mean, I'm so grateful for the wonderful summer we have. I don't even want to think of snow. I wish we had an account that just said no snow, but no such thing. Any comments? Questions? No? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. And before I adjourn this evening, I just wanted to extend an invitation to all of you. I know we don't have a meeting next Tuesday night, so my husband and I would like to invite all of you to our yard, weather permitting. Please come over and join us at 7 p.m. rather than coming to City Hall. Come very casual. So if you can come, that would be great. Come on by. Steve, Ken, we're going to have a little happy little evening all together. You can bring a bathing suit if you want. I have a very nice pool, actually. But yeah, just something I thought would be nice and light and something good for us to get together and socialize, a little social night. No politics at all, okay? That'll be the deal. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. We are adjourned at 8:06. Thank you very much. And Jay, by the way, if you can't find a sitter for Ryan, he's more popular than any of us. You'd bring him along.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you for.
Call Personnel and Human Services to order at 8:06. The first motion on the docket here relative to the new business introduced, I will talk to Owen first before we have committee discussion about it and see what he thinks the most appropriate plan might be. We can collaborate on that and see what that would be if they want to review it first and make recommendations and bring them back to the council. I think that's what we will do, but I will talk to him first about that. I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request for a supplemental appropriation of $199.60 to account 161-01000-532010, public library tuition and books, to pay for tuition and books for a library employee that has been approved to take courses for the fall 2016 semester and who is eligible for reimbursement according to contract agreement, Article 1021, Section 1. How'd I do with my Roman numerals?
That's nice.
Second.
Pretty good, huh? I had to memorize those. My grandmother insisted on it. I am going to bring this out this evening for a vote tonight, but I'm not going to bring it to the full council this evening because I need to understand why it's a supplemental transfer and supplemental appropriation and not a reserve fund for transfer. I've noticed a lot of these are supplemental appropriations, and I want to understand that before I bring it to the full council. So I'll vote it tonight in committee and then update you all when we meet the first meeting in September to vote it out before the full council. It's pretty clear that it's in the contract. This is an eligible education expense, and so it's not the payment, it's how we're getting it to the individual that I'm questioning. So any other questions, comments, problems? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion passes. The next two are appointments that I'm going to bring out tonight and vote at the full council. And I know that normally we like to have the individuals come here, but they happen to be two appointments to the same committee, so I want to get those out so that they can start their regular meetings. I'm not sure what the status is with quorums and that kind of thing, and I don't want to impede that, so I'm asking you all to vote it through committee this evening and then vote them through the full council with a commitment to getting them in to see us if they're available the second meeting in September. So that said, I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request to confirm the appointment of Brad D. Goldstein, 53 Forest Street, to fill an unexpired term on the Cultural Council. Term to expire February 2018.
Second.
Thank you. I have no further comments other than the ones I just made. Any other questions, comments, problems? Good. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion passes. I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request to confirm the appointment of Kirsten Mailhut, 23 Perrin Street, to fill an unexpired term on the Cultural Council, term to expire February 2018.
Second.
Thank you. Again, I don't have any additional comments other than I did ask Ken to schedule them to come in if they're available for that meeting in September, just to meet with us. Any other questions, comments, problems? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion passes. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. We are adjourned at 8:10.
On behalf of Chairperson Sarah Lynn Reynolds for the Committee on City Property and Claims, we're going to cancel this evening's meeting, and there's nothing on the agenda that I think would be detrimental to hold off until September.
No budget.
So,
Okay.
hold on, let me just double check. I believe that there is, no, it's not.
Alrighty, so I am, tonight I'm reporting for the Committee on Licenses where Vice President Denley is in his absence. I call the committee meeting to order at 8:11. Let's see. From the docket of August 18th, 2016, I entertain a motion to approve the request of Richard Fredette from the Disabled American Veterans Group, Chapter 91, 122 Park Street, to hold a Forget-Me-Not Drive on Saturday, September 24th, and Sunday, September 25th, 2016.
Second?
Okay, thank you very much. This is something that we do all on a regular basis. We all love our Forget-Me-Not drives, and I urge everyone to get out the weekend of the 24th and 25th and donate as much as you can. And my kids love getting the poppies and holding on to them. Any questions or concerns? Move for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Sorry. I want to make sure I have good notes because it's not my committee. From the docket of August 16th, 2016, I entertain a motion to approve the renewal application from Sangria's Restaurant, 59 Park Street, Attleboro, Mass., to waive section 11-15.1 in order to serve alcoholic beverages or wine on city property from August to August, Monday through Sunday, during the hours of 12 noon to 1 a.m.
Second?
So Carlos, we all know Carlos. He came in on Tuesday evening for a public hearing. This is the, I believe, fourth year he stated that we're issuing this permit to them. I think this is a great way to highlight our downtown. It's such a beautiful area and location. I've taken the opportunity to sit out there on many occasions and have a glass of sangria and enjoy the outside. So I heartily support this. Are there any questions or concerns? Please.
Do have one, it's probably a general question about
Sure.
licenses. Before we,
I might not be the one to ask about that. I'll do my best.
I think before we do a license or give a license or talk about licensing anybody, do you know if we check to make sure that their taxes are paid?
We do. We do have a current, as part of their application, they have to have insurance and make sure that all their taxes are paid in full and things like that. It's all part of the license
Thanks.
application. I was happy that I knew the answer to that, Thea, so there we have it. I would like to vote this out tonight because they need to be able to start, make sure that it's seamless. So I move for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposition. All the motion passes. Sorry about that. I call for an adjournment at 8:14.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. And we are adjourned at 8:14. Thank you very much.
Transportation and traffic is canceled, I take it?
Yes,
They did the other
my
night?
apologies. Yes, transportation and traffic is canceled for this evening.
Okay. Capital improvements?
Capital improvements is canceled this evening.
Thank you.
Okay,
Someone's
so
up.
I will have mine. So I am going to call to order at 8:14, the Committee on Zoning and Land Use. My committee members are Councilor Jackson and Councilor Cooper. I have one piece of business here for the committee that I'd like to vote out from the docket of June 21st. I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request to accept the donation of 2 parcels of real estate to the city for open space from John J. Cloud of A. Caponegro and Company. The 2 parcels are located off Springdale Road, more specifically Assessor's Plat number 112, Lot 46, and Assessor's Plat number 199, Lot number 6.
Second.
So, thank you. And this is a donation to the city, so.
Which is great.
We love donations. Thank you very much to those people that donated. We appreciate that. That is all the business that I have for zoning and land use.
Here's a vote on that.
Oops, I'm sorry. Yes, do the vote, sorry. Okay, so I'd like to take a vote on approving this motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Oh, but I
Aye.
Yeah, I messed you all up, so that's good. So we're good. So that was a
There you go.
unanimous vote. Thank you. Okay,
Now we can adjourn.
now I'm going to close it out.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. So we are adjourning at 8:16. 2 minutes. I had only 2 minutes and messed it up. That's ridiculous. Thank you so much.
Okay, I would like to call the Committee on Ordinances, Elections, Legislative Matters to order at 8:17. I move to hold a public hearing on Tuesday, September 6, 2016, at 7 PM on the following matter. Delete existing section 9-47 period, dot 2, under section 9-47 motor vehicle dealers of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, insert new section 9-4, point 2 as follows. Section 9-47.2, completed renewal applications for licenses issued under Mass General Laws, Chapter 140, Sections 57 through 59. Class 1, Class 2, Class 3 must be received by the office of the city clerk on or before the first Friday in November. In order to be processed, the renewal application must be submitted in its entirety, including a check or money order for the applicable license renewal fee. If a renewal application does not meet the conditions hereunder, the existing license shall expire on January 1st in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 14, Section 59. The license renewal fee for an application received after the first Friday in November shall be tripled. Payments of such triple fee shall not relieve any person from fully complying with the requirements of the above-mentioned Massachusetts General Laws and the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro.
Second.
Thank you, President Cook.
You're welcome.
This is just to call a public hearing to change the language of the ordinance. What we're trying to achieve, and President Cook, where you brought the business in, correct me if I'm wrong, we all remember at the end of last year, there were several public hearings of people who didn't get their licenses, their applications for renewals in on time. What this will do is eliminate the need for that public hearing. I've heard from quite a few people that when they come up in front of the council, it's a little nerve-wracking, and a lot of these public hearings are 15 to 20 seconds, and they're waiting for 15 to 20 minutes to get up. This will eliminate that. The other thing it will do will also give financial motivation to get the application in on time. And it actually will bring this ordinance more in line with Section 9 of the City of Ordinances with the building permits, which essentially was if you are getting a building, if you're starting construction or a rehab project and you don't get your license, your permit rather, we find out about it, you're gonna get charged triple, so that language is uniform with that. I spoke with the city solicitor today, who said that the language in this is fine, so we just want to get going with the public hearing. Yes?
Oh, hi, just a brief question. So this, just to sum it up for me in my own head,
Yeah.
so we're taking away the public hearing,
Yes,
okay, but then adding in a triple fee.
correct.
Hit them in the pocketbook, but
So-
I always, nobody likes that. All right, thank you. Thank you.
President Cook?
Yeah, if I could just clarify, if, way back when they changed the ordinance to require if the renewal application was not received by the first Friday in November, the ordinance was changed a few years ago to require them to come in for a public hearing for a new license. And if you remember last year, the idea was, I believe when that ordinance change occurred, was that would serve as the incentive to get these things in on time, because else we'd have to go through all the process of a new application as opposed to the simple process of just doing paperwork on renewal. For those of you who were here last year, it didn't work out all that well, and in one of the meetings in December, we had a night where we had, 12, 15 public hearings that lasted, maybe 20 seconds, with people saying, I forgot to do the paperwork. So this was something that actually Walter Thibodeau and I brought in, the idea being that instead of having the public hearing, that if you don't get it in on time, there would just be, your application fee would be, increased. And I was the one who suggested the triple fee because I knew that's what they were doing over the building inspector's office that had already passed muster and so forth. We can debate later if we think it should be, if that's too high or whatever, but the idea being that instead of us as a city having to go through the whole process of having to call for public hearings on all these, have a public hearing, advertise, which costs us money, the idea was that instead of going through all that, if they don't get the application in by the first Friday in November, then when they did do it, the application fee would be increased. That was the whole idea. Kind of a carrot and a stick combined. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Blair, did you have your hand up?
This is a public hearing, correct?
Yes.
My only question in this ordinance, I know the ordinance, but I would assume that we notify all license holders in this particular instance, that there is a new policy?
I believe that would be, and correct me if I'm wrong, that would probably be done after the public hearing. I don't know that we're going to be sending this out necessarily. It will be advertised as it usually is.
But the only thing, Jay,
Yeah.
and we are on a committee together, so I want to
yeah.
bring it out this way. A lot of these dealerships are one-man operations. Maybe, very little office staff. And things do slip through the cracks. But before we triple fine somebody, I think whether it be car dealers or any of these permits, when there's a change this severe financially, I think there should either be a personal contact or a registered letter contact so that they know where they stand. Not everybody reads the Attleboro Sun. My opinion only, Jay.
No, I appreciate it. I know we'll be updating the letters that go out in November.
Okay, all right.
So once all this, whether pass or fail, if it passes, the change will be reflected in the letters that they receive annually.
Thanks.
All right, no, thank you.
For your assurance.
Jay?
Mike, do you have a question?
Ms. Cook, did you have your hand up?
Oh, I didn't. I thought Mike did.
Council Conti?
Yes, I have a question that, through the chair to Councilor Blair, because I think you have more knowledge on the subject, is have you in the history of your term in the council, was there ever any discussion about a bond?
They do have to put up a bond.
So part of our license renewal is to ensure that they did renew their bond?
Yes.
So perhaps if we're going to move towards a notice, that's the excuse for the notice, is to see if their bond has been renewed and that their license is going to be renewed.
If my memory serves me correct, because I did have the advantage of having an office staff, my wife, my mother, took care of the paperwork. But we had to get a certificate of that bond before the license could be issued.
Right. And that, an annual bond?
Yes,
Okay. So the bond has to be renewed.
yes.
So what we would be interested in upon their renewal application is that the bond has been renewed before their application.
I don't know if that's exactly the way it goes, Richard, to be honest with you, but I know before the license can be issued. We vote the license in, but the city clerk's office takes care of
I'm going to
actually
actually
issuing.
defer that if you, to Councilor Hegney, who's former chair of licenses and also a member of this committee.
Thank you. We revoke them if they don't have it's called a surety bond.
Yep.
I think it's about 25,000 surety bond. It's every year. If they don't have that bond renewed, we don't give them a license. It's revoked. Everything goes through Steve's, the city clerk's first office. Remember Betty used to keep that, and then she'd let us know, and we'd always double check before they come.
So the licensee has to renew the bond before he applies for renewal of the license.
Yeah, they have to have it in place.
Not before the application for renewal, I don't think,
Yes,
Shannon.
they have to have a surety bond.
Before the
They have to have
application?
a valid surety bond. Every application, the application will not be processed.
Okay, so I'm going to bring this back. Thank you for the input. Did you have something you wanted to add, Councilor Cooper?
Yes. They do have to have a surety bond, $25,000. That is correct. But it doesn't have to be renewed at the time of the renewal. If they got their surety bond in July and the thing is due in October or November, they have to show an active surety bond, $25,000 at the time of the renewal. When the bond expires, they have to show they have to send in the new one in July.
And
That's exactly what
If I may-
Shannon Haggerty, I
If
think
I
Counselor
may,
Haggerty was.
that's exactly, yes, when they renew it, the bond has to be renewed and
Exactly
active,
right.
and it has to be active and renewed.
Yep.
Usually it coincides.
So, did that suffice?
My apologies for disrupting the committee.
I don't find it a disruption. I think it's necessary to the piece of business in front of us. But I also think that, to Councilor Blair's point, I think the annual letter that goes out reminding them about the renewal will have this change to it. And I will continue to work with City Clerk on that to ensure that that happens. All right, we're going to take a vote. All those in favor of the public hearing?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Beautiful. Motion passes. Before we adjourn, I do want to just give a quick update on the hawkers and peddlers. I've heard from several people in the community that there are some aggressive hawkers and peddlers out there going door to door, really with the solar stuff. So I've been working with the President Cook, City Clerk, the city solicitor. I hope to have something by mid-September on this, that we can sink our teeth in and move this forward. Councilor Parika.
Thank you very much. As you know, we're not on any committees together, so I did have a conversation with you on Tuesday, where I've received there's a new batch of individuals flowing through our neighborhoods, and I got multiple phone calls and actually had just a delightful conversation with a lovely young lady the other day that I don't think either one of us are ever going to forget. So I appreciate you moving on this. When this business first came out, I wasn't necessarily in support of it, and then I may have changed my mind.
Well, I think things changed. I think the nature of the sales have changed in general, and I don't know that there's the need that there once was personally, but we'll continue to vet this and flush it out.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Not a worries. All right, I would call for an adjournment at, what do we have for the time?
8:27.
8:27. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned at 8:27. Thank you.
I think that concludes all the committees. Okay. I just need to get a few of these in from people, and we can continue. I have yours. I have both of yours. Yep. And I need Ms. Connie's for business.
Scott Mercia sent me a text message. Scott Mercia. Can you read this?
Yeah, I can read.
I don't know if you could see it.
Oh, yeah.
Biology break.
Did you know him, Peter? I see it open up there. He was a great man. I love Joe.
Joe was a mentor to me, you know. My dad died at 12. Joe was a blessing to my dad, so
Great man. I knew him from high school. I was in the acapella choir. Our choir was like state champ for years.
and he helped so many kids. I was talking to his wife at the wake. She told me he never left the house for work with a smile on his face. He loved it. Loved it.
Yeah, that was in high school 40 years ago. I think you're up.
Lamentals.
40 years ago. Every time I saw him, once a year, he always remembered my name.
Home on occasion, especially
making an
All right, let's see if I have everything for everybody.
Oh, I see.
Got to the finish line without the ball.
7?
August is due.
I know.
That's the girl's skin so good.
When we go around, do your committee first. I will try to keep them in the order. I think I have all these. Let's see if I have everybody else. Peter, do I have a copy of yours?
Yeah, I gave it to you earlier.
Richard?
Yep. It was signed by all three. Want me to look? Maybe I didn't give it to you.
Oh, yeah.
You're right, I did.
You didn't sign it.
Didn't I?
If I knew, I forgot.
All right, as soon as I get that, we'll be ready to go.
I swear to God, I did it.
Thank you.
When in the 90s.
Actually, let me stop
In the Lewis.
1998, page 26.
That's from college.
1998, where was I? Collecting Social
You
Security.
all set to go?
I'm all set.
No. No, you started early.
Same with me.
Didn't you start 3 or 4 months?
All right. Everybody else
Yeah,
set?
you were already had a full term.
All right, what time is it there?
8:36.
8:36. Call council meeting back to order at 8:36. And the next thing on the agenda will be the committee reports. And as always, the committee reports will begin with Councilor Delicio.
Thank you, President Cook. Reporting for ordinances, elections, legislative matters. I move to hold a public hearing on Tuesday, September 6, 2016 at 7 p.m. on the following matter. Delete existing section 9-47.2 under section 9-47 motor vehicle dealers of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro. Insert new section 9-47.2 as follows. I'd request a
Wait.
waiving of the reading.
Yeah, I agree with that. We'll
Thank
waive the reading of that. Okay.
No comment.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Are there any comments, please?
None.
Does anybody have any comments? Hearing none, this matter requires a voice vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. That is all the business I have tonight. We'd like to call for a meeting next month at the appropriate time.
Thank you. Councilor Hall?
Yes, okay, so I'm reporting for zoning and land use,
Okay.
and I apologize for that. I have a few motions that I'd like to bring up tonight. The first one is from the docket of August 18th, 2016. I move to approve the mayor's request to accept the donation of 2 parcels of real estate to the city for open space from John J. Cloud of A. Caponegro and Company. The 2 parcels are located off Springdale Road, more specifically Assessor's Plat number 112, lot number 46, and Assessor's Plat number 99, lot number 6. And
Second.
Thank you. The motion's in order. Are there any comments, please?
the only comment is, we just spoke about this. This is a donation to the city.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, this matter requires a roll call vote, and the vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Hegney.
Yes.
Mrs. Parika.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Ms. Hall.
Yes.
Mr. Delicio.
Yes.
President Cook.
Yes.
9 yeas, 0 nays.
The motion passes. Thank you.
So I have a second motion from the docket of June 21st, 2016. I move to adopt the following. Be it ordained by the Municipal Council of the City of Attleboro as follows. that Section 17-2.1.3, establishment of an industrial zoning district, be amended by deleting the section in its entirety and inserting in its place thereof the following. The I zoning district is established to accommodate enterprises engaged in the manufacturing processing, repairing, and packaging, assembling, storing merchandise of goods and commodities and other similar uses that are deemed within the prescribed range of activities contained herein, and B, compatible non-residential enterprises engaged in the medical healthcare sector of the economy.
Second.
Thank you. The motion's in order. Do you have any comments, please?
No, I have a follow-up that's sort of, these go together. One is sort of changing the zoning, and the other one is to have it more specific in terms of the medical and descriptive of what kind of medical practices are going to go on there. So this is the first part.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote. The vote will begin with Councilor Delicio, and as a reminder, this needs since there's an ordinance change involving zoning, it requires a 2/3 acceptance vote for passage. Okay?
Mr. Delicio.
Yes.
Ms. Hall.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mrs. Parika.
Yes.
Ms. Egny.
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
President Cook.
Yes.
9 yeas, 0 nays.
The motion passes.
Okay, thank you. And so the follow-up part of this is from the docket of June 21st, 2016. I move to adopt the following, be it ordained by the Municipal Council of the City of Attleboro as follows, that in Section 17-3.4, Table of Use Regulations, community facilities be amended by deleting N associated with the following land uses under the industrial zoning district, and inserting in place thereof a P as follows: principal uses, community facilities, industrial. So we're including some medical, professional dental medical, medical dental office building, hospital nursing home, healthcare facility, hospital-related services, veterinary hospital.
Second.
Thank you. The motion's in order. Are there any comments, please?
The only comment to this is a requirement, if you would, or, in order for us to be able to make the transaction that we need to Sturdy. Sturdy's going to take, purchase, and that money has to go back to the Massachusetts Land Development. So it's a sort of a bill, I think, that we have to pay. And this is actually from previously. I went back, that you council members all before me agreed to this, and now it's coming to fruition.
Any additional comments? Councilor Cooper and then Councilor Parika. Councilor Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just in the vein of full disclosure, I am a per diem nursing supervisor at Sturdy Memorial Hospital, and since we have mentioned Sturdy specifically, I will just disclose that it won't affect my vote. I'm still in full support, and I don't have any financial gain other than the hours that I work there,
Okay.
which
Thank
is
you.
very frequently, but I feel like I need to mention it because I'm employed by the hospital. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and this will affect anything involved with this, not just, I'm sorry. Councilor Parika and then Councilor Conti.
Just as a point of order, I didn't know if it was necessary for Councilor Hall to read the 11B professional, because those weren't read during the committee, but I just didn't know if, as a friendly amendment, if we could add.
No, just said that. Yeah, I mean, as written, it would, as you know, in the table of use regulations, it does have them in somewhat of a numerical order, and sometimes other letters. So these, in this case, it was 11B was professional medical, 12A was the nursing home, 12B was healthcare facility, 12C was hospital-related, and 13 was veterinary hospital. So, yeah, that's fine. That's thank you. Councilor Conti.
Yes, Mr. President, I too have been under the employ of Sturdy Memorial Associates, and I don't see it as a financial conflict in this rezoning ordinance, but I do want to disclose that there is a business relationship between my practice and Sturdy Memorial Associates.
Okay.
But in my capacity as a city councilor and this issue, I don't see it as a financial conflict.
Right. Thank you. And again, this is, as you can see, it does apply not just to Sturdy, but to other places such as veterinary. Yeah. And as you all know, I am the council's representative on the board there too. But again, it applies beyond just that one particular place. Okay. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote. The vote will begin with Councilor Blair, and again, this involves a 2/3 vote for passage.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Hegney?
Yes.
Mrs. Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes.
9 yeas, 0 nays.
The motion passes.
Okay, that concludes the business of the zoning and land use. I would like to request a meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Council Conti.
Reporting for the capital improvements and city development, we have no business to bring before the council this evening, but we look forward to a meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Council Parika.
Thank you. Reporting for transportation and traffic. I have one motion. From the docket of June 21st, 2016, I entertain a motion to amend section 10-4.11 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro, quote, isolated stop signs, end quote, amended 7/23/15 by adding the following northbound drivers on Cathedral Drive at Parsonage Way.
Second.
Thank you. The motion's in order. Are there any comments?
There are. We discussed this last week, on Tuesday in committee. I am actually going to recommend a no vote of my fellow councilors as we vetted it through the Traffic Study Commission and at the recommendation and the various conversations and interpretations of not only Lance Hill, but the police chief. This particular stop sign does not meet the warrant.
Thank you. Are there any concerns or questions? Okay. Hearing none. This matter, we will be having a roll call vote, and the vote will begin with Councilor Delissio.
Mr. Delissio?
No.
Ms. Hall?
No.
Mr. Conti?
No.
Mrs. Parika?
No.
Ms. Hegney?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
No.
Ms. Jackson?
No.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Did you say yes? I'm sorry.
Yes.
President Cook?
No.
2 yeas, 7 nays.
The motion fails.
Thank you.
Okay.
That concludes the business for transportation and traffic for this evening, and I call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time. I'm also reporting for license this evening in Vice President Finlay's absence. He has two motions in front of us this evening. From the docket of August 18th, 2016, I entertain a motion to approve the request of Richard Fredette from the Disabled American Veterans Group, Chapter 91, 122 Park Street, to hold a Forget-Me-Not Drive on Saturday, September 24th, and Sunday, September 25th, 2016.
Second.
Thank you. The motion's in order. Are there any comments, please?
We just discussed this in committee. I don't think we need to add anything to that.
Okay. Does anybody have any other concerns or comments? Okay. Hearing none, this matter requires a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
From the docket of August 16th, 2016, I move to approve the renewal application from Sangria's Restaurant, 59 Park Street, Attleboro, Mass., to waive section 11-15.1 in order to serve alcoholic beverages or wine on city property from August to August, Monday through Sunday, during the hours of 12 noon to 1 a.m.
Second.
Thank you. The motion's in order. Are there any comments, please?
Again, we had a public hearing on Tuesday. We just had discussion during committee. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, and I recommend an affirmative vote.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other concerns or comments in this matter? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Delissio.
Should be Mr. Blair, I believe.
Excuse me, Mr. Blair? Hold on. I'm sorry, hold on. I didn't mark down one of the votes. Hold on just a second.
I think I'm right.
Right, it would be Councilor Blair in that case.
Okay.
You're right. I'm sorry. I had written down the wrong one. Okay, so this will be a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Blair. My apologies.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Hegney?
Yes.
Mrs. Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes,
9 yeas, 0 nays.
the motion passes.
Thank you very much. That completes the business for the committee on the committee report for licensing, and I call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Hegney.
Thank you. Reporting for budget and appropriations from the docket of July 21st, 2016. I move to approve the mayor's request for supplemental appropriation in the amount of $22,000 to account citywide cell pager Reading Committee account number to restore this account to $27,000 to cover the annual expense for 68 cell phone devices, which averages out to approximately $33.09 per a month per device.
Second.
Thank you. The motion's in order. Are there any comments, please?
Yes, I do. After talking to the mayor, when the first initial list came down, there was more cell phones but he had inadvertently added in zoo, rubbish, waste, red grant, health, water, and wastewater. And those are actually paid through revolving accounts. So there's actually only 66, not 68. So it's only 66, not
So-
66.
So you want to make that as a friendly amendment to change from 68 to
Yes.
66? Okay, I'll accept that. As a friendly amendment?
Thank
Hold
you.
on. Just take note of that.
And then I had gone through, there's actually 4 gigs of wireless internet for the staff, and this is one of them. It has 12 devices which feed off this, and they plug it in anywhere in City Hall or anywhere else. Chief LaChance actually has, there's 2 of these. He has one currently. He uses these for online training for the fire department. So he actually will use one. He has one over at the fire department to do his training. So there's 2 of these that are included on this. And then there's 2 tablets, one for the mayor and the budget. And then the planning department has 1 cell phone. Public Works has 5, inspection 4, park and forestry 2, recreation 3, conservation 1, animal control 2, fire has 16, and that, if you notice, 1 is for rescue 4, engine 5. They're not per person in that sense. It's per engine, per rescue, and then it's basically a deputy. Fire inspection 2, fire prevention 1, assistant chief, EMS director, superintendent of the fire alarm. Okay, the police department, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 18, 20, 22, 23, and if you notice, they're supervisory positions that have those also. And then this is coming for a supplemental appropriation in that amount, because this was a budget cut. To understand how a supplemental appropriation, when you have a budget cut, it then is ready to be used before you touch a reserve fund for transfer. So this is not an unforeseen event, because the reserve fund to transfer would be an unforeseen event, where this would be coming from a supplemental appropriation because it was a budget cut. So the money is there to be used. So that's why it's supplemental. And August 29th is when the contract will run out and the phones will be shut off. And I had talked to different individuals, particularly the police chief was highly concerned over this when I talked to him in his office, for some of the detectives not to have some cell phones. And even talking to the city solicitor in passing, personal cell phones should not be used for this type of use. So,
Mr. President, I have a point of order.
Yes.
This measure was the subject of a, in the last meeting.
Charter objection, meeting before last.
Meeting before last, which the charter objection requires that this motion be brought up in the first point of business in the next council meeting.
Okay, hold on. Okay. Yeah, I'm not,
What's the difference?
yeah, I'm trying, all right, let me just look back at the rules here. On the first occasion, the question of adoption of any measure except an emergency measure is defined in section 2-9C of the charter is put to the municipal council. If a single member objects to taking the vote shall be postponed for not less than 7 days. If when it is brought up, 4 or more members object, a second postponement of the 7 days shall be made. This procedure shall not be used more than once for any measure notwithstanding any amendment to the original measure. The charter objection may be made by any council member at any time after the president calls for a vote and before the president declares the results of the vote. So that's the part that covers that. So you're saying that it should have come up early in the meeting?
It should have been the first order of business in this council meeting.
Okay. All right. And I obviously did not do this, it was further along in the meeting.
Excuse me.
So,
President
and nobody else brought it up either.
Didn't you
Yes,
suspend the rules?
That was my point.
but I did suspend the rules, that's true. We did operate on suspension of the rules.
When you suspend the rules, are you able to overcome the role of the
When I
charter?
suspend the rules,
You take things out
we
of
can take
order.
things out of order. So, Councilor Delacia?
Withdrawn.
Okay. Councilor Parika? Excuse me.
So, this has been a topic of conversation across the city.
Hold on, hold on.
Oh, we still
There's a
talking?
point of
Yeah,
order.
point of order.
Oh, my apologies.
I'm dealing with that.
Sorry.
Does anybody have any other comments on point of order? Okay. So since we're operating on suspended rules, I have the rule that we can take this up at this time.
Well, Mr. President, I protest because I think that we as a council cannot suspend the charter.
Okay?
So we're caught in a situation where we have not followed the charter. And I think reasonableness should play. Quite frankly,
I want to see, Mr. Williams, you have a copy of the child with you? I do not have my copy.
have one. Right here, Frank. I think it's on that page.
The orange page?
Can I just say that? Excuse me, Mr. President?
Yes.
Can we just go ahead and do the vote this evening and double check with the city
Oh,
solicitor?
no, I want to make sure, because I want to make sure the vote is legal. This is
we
not,
can't violate the charter.
yeah, right, yeah, hold on.
If we're on the suspended, if we're on the suspended rules, I think
Hold on a
we're still
second.
okay. I will, thank you.
When did you have it on what page, Mr. Williams?
Call a recess.
I make a motion to recess.
Yeah, second. Thank you. Motion's in order. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We're in recess at 8:55. mentioned that it has to be first. So there is no violation of the charter, number one. Number two, I know that when Council Connie first brought this up, I first thought of reconsideration, because a reconsideration does become the first thing you bring up, at subsequent meetings. Although both Council Connie and I vaguely remember, can't put a date on it, but I've asked Ken to double check, when we've had to have a special meeting to take up a charter objection. And, I was doing some research last week on a couple of matters, and I do recall a time when there was a reconsideration, and I remember it was brought up at the first meeting from one that I was reading. So I think that's what it is. So I believe that we are all set to go through. But thank you for raising the point of order. So at this point, the motion was made and seconded. Councilor Hagney gave some information about it. And then there's a point of order that was raised. So at this point, we're just going to go back to comments on the actual item itself. I thought Mr. Cooper's hand first, and then Councilor Parika. Anybody else have their hand up? So Councilor Cooper, then Councilor Parika, and then Councilor Jackson? No, Blair.
Blair, then
Okay.
Jackson.
Okay, Blair, then Jackson. Thank you. Councilor Cooper.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
President Cook, as Councilor Hegney suggested, this supplemental appropriation, I completely understand. It was the 199 one in my committee that I didn't understand why it was a supplemental appropriation, which is why I'm not going to bring that out tonight. But this was a budget cut from this fiscal year's budget that was my understanding, would come back to us through a supplemental appropriation. The other supplemental appropriations, I don't understand why we're doing those, so once I get some clarity around this one, I clearly understand, and I will support. The other one I won't bring up until I speak to Barry or Deb, or the mayor.
Okay.
So just for point of clarity, I just want to make sure that it's clear why I said something about one, but I don't apply it to another, so that's why. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Parika.
Thank you, President Cook. I agree with Councilor Cooper where this, I got, again, as you are now aware at this stage of the game, that I had quite the education this afternoon with Deb Gould, and I just want to actually give her a little shout out today. She's so patient and is always willing to sit with all of us and have that conversation. So the difference between, I mirror the concerns about supplemental appropriations, because we're in other committees, we have supplemental appropriations that aren't necessarily coming out of the revolving fund, and they're utilizing funds that we had cut. So I have some concerns about that. But as we speak specifically as to this, at the chairperson's recommendation, I did reach out to the mayor to get some additional information, and I specifically on multiple occasions asked for the contract to see, and I specifically asked if this is something that is paid monthly or if it is paid in one lump sum. And what he sent me was, please find the attached state bid for Verizon services that the city uses. Also, please find the attached list of all phones and explain that. But this is the bid. It's not the contract that we signed. It doesn't tell me. I'm looking. I'm trying to find whether or not this is a lump sum payment, or if it's not a lump sum payment, or if it's something that we pay every month. I still don't have an answer to that. So it makes it, again, it's just, I am trying to do my due diligence at the recommendation of the chair, and I am contacting the individual I'm supposed to contact with regards to this, but I still didn't get the information that I asked for specifically. So it makes it, I found it makes it difficult to make an appropriate decision. And in addition to that, I thought it was fascinating to see how their wastewater, and the zoo are billed separately, and that we do have a total of 100 plus cell phones across the city. So I was glad to see that we do get those separate appropriations from the enterprise funds that they have. I'm not necessarily sure what my vote will be, and we'll figure it out when we go around the U.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Blair, then, and Councilor Jackson will follow, and then Councilor Hall. Councilor Blair.
My concern is the same as it was when this was brought up. I think the productivity of our departments and the general public, we all have cell phones. Most of us can't get along without them. I was probably one of the last ones on this council to even get one, right? But I think the productivity in our highway department, our police department, would not come to a screeching halt, but it sure wouldn't work as well without the right people having cell phones. If there's a cell phone that you don't think they should have, bring it up to the mayor, bring it up in a communication. But to cancel cell phones, and when I asked him, he said, I understood him. I could be wrong, but I understood that the contract was up. And it's not a monthly contract, day to day. I understand that it's coming up, so we have to renew it, or we'll have to go through that procedure all over again, and service will stop. And, you know, I gotta take an administrator that's in charge of these particular items, not us. We're a legislative body. That's the way it is. I just can't see the productivity, police department, highway, any of them going without a cell phone. Maybe there's some that shouldn't have them. Maybe it's to the point. But we had the opportunity to ask, and we didn't during budget hearings. Some of those hearings were boycotted when certain people were here. It's just, it's got to be a game, and I personally don't like the game.
Councilor Jackson, and then Councilor Hall, and then Councilor Parika.
Thank you.
Councilor Jackson.
I would, excuse me, this is my belief. I am supporting it this evening because, yes, I don't want the contract itself to end. However, again, just like I said earlier, moving forward for next year, when we sit down, I would like us to come up with a plan, because I do see names on here that don't work every single day. They might work a different shift, and there could be some phone sharing. And I'd like the accountability that people do have all these phones still, because I did mention it to somebody here this evening, that I did call a couple of them, nobody answered, and they said, well, maybe they're not working today, it's a day off. Well, then why do they have the phone? Why can't the person who's on duty right now, that person take over? But I do understand that the chief and the second in charge of, you know, whether it's fire, police, or the second in charge, they do need to take home a phone. I get that, because they are always on call. But not everybody here is on call 24/7. But if they are on call, they'll be sure to leave that night with a cell phone. Because if they forget it, then they'll just have to get called on their own cell phone. But I think next year, we really should make each department accountable of their phones, and someone should look out to see who, if they still even have them. Because that's just my take on this. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Hall?
Yes, I totally agree. I think, you know, it's not a problem to ask questions. It's not a problem to look at these things. I have no problems with doing that. What I do have a problem with is us, what I consider, in my opinion, becoming dangerously close to stepping over our boundaries in terms of interfering with the proper operations of the city, which is not our job. Now, again, I'm going to say it again, I have no problems with us questioning things. I have no problems with us looking at things. One of the things that, when I sat down and talked to people, and from my own experience, you know, over time is how these things develop, who gets a cell phone, who doesn't get a cell phone. And the overtime part of this is what's going to cause a problem, and I don't know if all of you are aware of this, okay? But when you create a performance, a request, even if it's not in contract, you have created an activity within this city that is going to be expected of these employees. And if they don't get this, they can go to their union. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but that's absolutely correct. So the way the business has been done here has been done through cell phones. They cannot use their own personal cell phones. I've had this experience before. You cannot put somebody on call and expect them to answer their own cell phones. You can't do it. You just can't. You just can't do that. You can't make that a requirement of their job to use their own cell phones. So if you do that, you're going to end up paying everybody's phone bill. If you put somebody on call with their own cell phone, they don't have to answer their own cell phone. So there's a lot of problems that go on with this. Again, and I'm stating again, I don't have any problems with asking who gets them. But I think we need to go ahead get this bill paid, and then ask those questions. I agree 100% with Councilor Jackson. But we need to get this bill paid. I will be supporting this. I don't want to see this go any further to a union, to anything where we're going to end up spending more money to fight this thing. So that's my comment.
Thank you. Councilor Parika, then Councilor Blair, then Councilor Delizio. Councilor Parika.
I don't need to belabor this any longer, President Cook, honestly. Ms. Jackson, I think that I think that the two recommendations that you've made tonight are something I could really get behind and support, and I thank you for thinking in those terms, both conservatively and a way to get double the use out of what we already have. And just as a redirect to Councilor Blair, I ask questions because I can, and I can ask them anytime I want. And this is a matter of discussion and clarity. And as you are aware, when we're having discussion, it takes twists and turns in a road, and sometimes you never get back to ask the question that you originally wanted to ask. So next budget season, I'll be on point, I promise you. I never boycotted a meeting either. I was here. So my other thing is that the other point I want to make is that I did very specifically ask for very specific information. I was not given that information. So that makes it, I don't enjoy the possibility of saying, yes, we're going to say yes to all of these and then try to remove them. It's like increasing the tax rate, thinking that someday we're going to reduce it. It just doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen. So I guess I'm simply trying to register my disappointment with the fact that there was very specific information that I asked for. I did not get it. At budget time, we were not made aware of when that would be general information that I think that we would have to know if we're talking about cell phones. Well, our contract is up. This is when it's up. This is what it's due. We pay it a year in advance. That might be information that should be forthcoming from the administration when he's presenting his budget. So again, those are my feelings with regards to this, and it makes it very difficult. I don't like to make decisions when I don't have all the answers in front of me, and that's a pretty big one. Like, that's a pretty big question to ask and not have answered. So I like to make appropriate decisions with all of the information. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, Councilor Blair?
No,
Okay, what's that? Councilor Delizio and then Councilor Hall. Thank you.
Who's on first?
Well, you had your hand up. I was going to take you and then Councilor Delizio, but you said no.
I just want to make a quick comment.
All right. I'm sorry.
I think Kate's idea of sharing the phones, maybe they should be assigned to a truck or a position. It makes absolute sense. That's a good suggestion. And I think it's done with earnest in the welfare of the city. That's a good suggestion. Maybe it can't work, but boy, I'd like to know why it wouldn't. So I compliment you, Kate, on that.
Thanks.
That aspect.
Thank you. Councilor Delizio and then Councilor Hall. Councilor Delizio.
This has been quite the education about how cell phones in the city work. Never expected it to quite take on this magnitude of discussion. Councilor Jackson, I think you're spot on. I think we should look at it. We should continue to have these discussions. I think without belaboring the point. There you go. I think it's also important, there's a safety issue to it, which Councilor Blair alluded to, Councilor Hagney alluded to, but also in July, we had some severe thunderstorms where there was power outages. And through my research, I found out that it was National Grid who was calling city cell phones. Because as we know, and it's been pointed out, we can't mandate that city employees pick up their own phones. This is stuff that when the amendment was introduced, I didn't have that education. So this is pretty fascinating. One thing I would suggest to the chair for next year, if there's a way that we could work contractual information into the budget. What I mean by that specifically is when a line item comes up, if it's a way to notate whether it's contractual, whether it's a service contract such as this, or whether it's through a union contract. I think a lot of times we don't know the questions to ask when we're looking at thousands of line items in a 6-week period. I think this will help to guide that conversation a little bit more. Thank you.
Councilor Hall?
Yeah, I just want to thank you for bringing up the fact of not making decisions without a fully vetted opportunity to have someone come down. I remember just
right after the budget, we had 22 items, was it? 22 items that had no information, nobody down here telling us what to do, and yet we cut. I was extremely disturbed about, so I agree with you 100%. I don't like to make decisions without that kind of information, and I hope we never do that again on this council.
I'll have to do that tonight.
Well, you know what? You speak your mind, you vote your mind. But I hope, and I'm making a point, that we never do that again, because this is what got us into the situation in the first place. Thank you.
Council President, I'm going to move the question, please.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. The motion's in order. So we'll have a roll call vote on moving question. Hold on one second. The second was by?
It was me, President Cook.
Delicio.
Delicio, second. Okay, thank you.
Counselor
Okay.
Delicio.
All right, so this will be a roll call vote beginning with Mr. Delicio. A yes vote is to move the question, which means we move on with a vote. A no vote is to continue the discussion. Everybody clear on the yes, no?
Yes.
Great. All right, so we'll begin the roll call vote with Mr. Delicio.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
No.
Mrs. Parika?
Yes.
Ms. Hegney?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 nay.
Motion passes, so we're on to the vote. Okay, hold on a second. All right, so this will be a roll call vote, and the vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Hegney?
Yes.
Mrs. Parika?
No.
Mr. Conti?
No.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes.
7 yeas, 2 nays.
Motion passes. Is there anything else, Councilor?
Thank you. No, just
Okay,
the
committee meeting.
vote for that, and we'll call for committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Councilor Conti, you want to call for a special meeting on behalf of, you're the vice chair of City Property Plans?
Oh, yes, because she has 4 motions to bring up the next meeting.
Right.
Have you thought of that?
Okay, thank you. Councilor Cooper?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
From Personnel and Human Services, from the docket of August 18, 2016, I move to approve the mayor's request to confirm the appointment of Brad D. Goldstein, 53 Florida Street, to fill an unexpired term on the Cultural Council, term to expire February 2018.
Second.
Okay, the motion's in order. Are there any comments, please?
I know we spoke about it in committee about an hour and 10 minutes ago.
Okay, thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, this matter requires a voice vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of August 18, 2016, I move to approve the mayor's request to confirm the appointment of Kirsten Mailhut, 23 Perrin Street, to fill an unexpired term on the Cultural Council, term to expire February 2018.
Second.
Thank you. The motion's in order. Are there any comments?
No, again, we talked about it an hour and 11 minutes ago.
Thank you for the preciseness of the time. Are there any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, this matter requires a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. That concludes the business for Personnel and Human Services this evening, but we'll call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time. Thank you.
Councilor Jackson?
Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome.
From the docket of August 18th, 2016, I move to approve the mayor's request to transfer $2,000 from wastewater enterprise fund equipment maintenance to account wastewater enterprise fund previous year's bills to be used by the wastewater department to pay a bill from fiscal year 2016.
Second?
Thank you. The motion's in order. Are there any comments?
No, I had made them about an hour ago as well.
12 minutes.
Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Delicio.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mrs. Parika?
Yes.
Ms. Hegney?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes.
9 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of August 18th, 2016, I move to approve the mayor's request for a supplemental appropriation of $47,865 to the following accounts to pay for permanent street repairs to 3 temporary patches due to water breaks throughout the city, resulting in just under 10,000 square feet of roadway and the associated costs for police details. $40,345 to Public Works Street Maintenance account, street maintenance supplies account, $7,520 to account Public Works Professional Services account.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
Nope, I made those as well earlier.
Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Hegney.
Yes.
Mrs. Parika.
No.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Ms. Hall.
Yes.
Mr. Delicio.
Yes.
President Cook.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 nay.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
From the docket of August 18th, 2016, I move in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 31D, to approve the mayor's request to approve deficit spending in the following accounts for snow removal expenditures during fiscal year 2017. Account snow ice control overtime snow removal, snow ice control allowance meals account, snow ice control maintenance of equipment account, snow ice control snow plowing account, snow ice control street sweeping account, snow ice control gasoline account, snow ice control diesel fuel account, snow ice control supplies equipment, snow ice control supplies salt, snow ice control supplies sand, snow ice control capital snow equipment.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
Nope.
Does anybody have any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Delicio.
Mr. Delicio.
Yes.
Ms. Hall.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mrs. Parika.
Yes.
Ms. Hegney.
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
President Cook.
Yes.
9 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no
welcome.
further business this evening for Public Works, but I would like to call for a meeting at the appropriate time next month, please.
Thank you. Councilor Blair.
Reporting for Public Safety and Emergency Management from the docket of August 18, 2016. I move in accordance with Chapter 1, Section 12, the revised ordinance of the City of Attleboro, to approve the mayor's request to approve the expenditure of approximately $11,500 in FFY 15 Edward Bryan Memorial Justice Assistant Grant Funds from the New Bedford Police Department and the U.S. Department of Justice to be used by the Attleboro Police Department to pay for overtime incurred from a variety of prevention and enforcement efforts throughout the community. No match is required by the City of Attleboro, and the funds must be expended no later than September 30th, 2018.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
Discussion in committee, Mr. President.
Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Hegney.
Yes.
Mrs. Parika.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Ms. Hall.
Yes.
Mr. Delicio.
Yes.
President Cook.
Yes.
9 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of August 18, 2016, I move to approve the request of the mayor for a supplemental appropriation of $25,000 to account 1210100-524230, police maintenance of vehicles, to cover the costs associated with the vehicle repairs performed by an outside mechanic while a police department mechanic is out of work for an extended period of time.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
I think we hashed it over pretty good, and I explained it during committee.
Okay. Any other concerns or comments? Councilor Parika.
Thank you very much, President Cook. So again, as we discussed during committee, I had a bunch of questions with regards to this, and I don't have answers to them. And at the request of Councilor, that one, I said that I would support it. Yes, I didn't mean, I couldn't remember your last name. It blocked out of my head. Councilor Hall. I apologize.
I can see how you would block it out.
Wow. So, there are questions. I've never not supported anything put forth by the police department. So I will support this evening, even though I don't have the information that I requested.
I'm sure if you ask Ms. Parika,
You
you'll
actually
get-
said that you would do that for me, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other concerns or
Remind me,
comments?
yeah, remind me of the question.
I will happily do so.
Okay,
Any
thank
other
you.
concerns or comments? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Delissio.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mrs. Parika?
Yes.
Ms. Egni?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes,
9 yeas, 0 nays.
motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. President. From the docket of August 18, 2016, I move to approve the mayor's request to approve Fire Chief Scott LaChance's issuance of a refund for a previous fiscal year reimbursement. No monetary transfer is required.
Is there a second?
Second. Sorry.
Thank you. The motion's in order. Are there any comments, please?
We discussed that in committee earlier, Mr. President.
Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Hegney?
Yes.
Mrs. Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes,
9 yeas, 0 nays.
motion passes.
Excuse me?
What's that?
Councilor Blair?
Yes.
Didn't
No,
I called you first.
I know you did it. We had a little sidebar here. I got confused. We're all set.
Okay, well,
Not
the
your
motion
fault. Okay.
passed. We're on to, you have 2 items left in committee tonight?
2 items left.
Okay.
From the docket of August 18, 2016, I move to approve the mayor's request to approve Fire Chief Scott LaChance's request to pay a prior year's bill for paramedic recertification fees. No monetary transfer required.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
No, we discussed it. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none,
Katie.
we'll have a roll call vote. Just a reminder, because this involves payment of a prior year's bill, does require 2/3 vote for passage. So we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Mr. Delissio.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mrs. Parika?
Yes.
Ms. Hegney?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes,
President Cook?
Yes,
9 yeas, 0 nays.
motion passes.
thank you. Last motion from the docket of August 18, 2016. I move to approve the mayor's request for a supplemental appropriation of $21,730 to account 1210100-524011, police maintenance of buildings, for the police department to have the prisoner's cell door glass and locks inspected and make any necessary repairs to maintain security and functionality.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
I think we discussed it pretty well in committee.
Are there any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Hegney?
Yep.
Mrs.
Yes.
Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes,
9 yeas, 0 nays.
motion passes.
That's the last of the motions, but at this time, I know I said I was going to put in new business tonight for the crossing guards, but after due consideration over the last couple of days, I honestly don't think it's my place to bring that in. I think that should be brought in by the people who proposed, or the persons that proposed that cut. Because I honestly don't feel that that should have been holding the children hostage, public safety, to make a point. I would hope that sometime between now and September 1st, or when the kids go back to school, that I could persuade President Cook to call a special meeting. At that time, I think both cuts that remain not reinstated We have one for constituent affairs, and we have this one remaining, that maybe to answer any questions, further questions that this council might have, that we call a special meeting. I would hope that the mayor would attend and explain any questions that he hasn't already explained, and we take care of these two matters. But I don't think it's my part. I voted not to make the cut. I voted with a clear conscience, and I voted because I thought it was a public safety issue, and it should not hold children in jeopardy to make a point. I'll leave it at that. I honestly think that somehow, some way, you look into yourself and see if we can get this and the other one squared away before school starts. Hearing none other, I move to adjourn at...
Do you want to, no, you don't have to do that, but you need to call for committee meeting.
Oh, son of a gun, I practiced that real good and I didn't lose my composure. But I did lose, I promise, I called for a committee meeting next week at the appropriate time.
Okay, thank you. I did want to mention, there is, the item of constituent service administrator is already in committee anyways.
Is what?
It's already in committee. That item.
Oh, okay.
Number one.
Thank you.
As far as crossing guards, I mean, that would have to be the subject either, either somebody has to bring it as a new business, so it would have to come down to the administration, calling for,
Well, then
bring that in before
all I'm
us.
asking, Frank, is that somebody approaches the mayor for the safety of our children and get, I would like to see both of them come down, get it over with. We start in September fresh.
Right, as I said, one of them in committee, the only other way it could happen would be, it would have to just be, somebody have to just bring it in.
Well,
Okay,
I think it could be done if somebody would ask.
There's no, excuse me, there's no old business, there is an item of new business. Mr. Connie.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome.
From the docket of August 18th, 2016, I entertain a motion to refer the following matter to the appropriate committee for further review and recommendation. All building permits for the construction and alterations in the transit-oriented development include an impact fee of 1/100% of the building permit stated improvement value to be placed in a fund for the maintenance and repair of TOD common ground capital improvements. Said fee and fund shall meet all federal and state law requirements and shall benefit the residents of the TOD.
Second.
Thank you. The motions are there any comments, please?
Yes, Mr. President, I do have comments. I just want to make one brief comment, and I want to read it from a legal article published in Banker and Tradesman, just one sentence. And in Massachusetts cases, the courts acknowledge that with new development comes a need for new or expanded infrastructure and capital facilities, and the government has the authority to determine industry and developers will bear the cost of the external impacts they create rather than shifting those costs to taxpayers. I think that one sentence gets right to the essence of my new business, that I'm not asking for a fund, for an impact fee to cover schools for everybody, or to cover, the betterment of a sewer or water line. That's not what this measure is intended to do at all. This measure is put in place only for the benefits of the people who will be living in the transit-oriented district, that the fund would be created to sustain the capital improvements in that 28-acre site only. And I know that Mr. Mangiarotti, City Solicitor Mangiarotti, is challenged in crafting legislation going forward. And I know that he has a great team of people at his disposal to help him do that. So I'm very optimistic that this will become a reality, and I know for a fact that it's not illegal. He said it's not. It's not impossible. He said it is possible. And I look forward to its maturation. And that concludes my comments.
Any other concerns or comments? Karen, Councilor Hagan.
Thank you. As always, I never oppress new business. I may not support it going forward, looking at everything, but I will support it coming in. Okay?
Okay, any other concerns or comments? Councilor Hall.
Yes. I think that Mr. Conti there is a way to do it. I didn't know there is a program that is in the state of Massachusetts that actually addresses exactly, I think what Mr. Conti's trying to get at, called the District Improvement Financing. So you might want to take a look at that, because I think if you take a look at that, that even more clearly allows you to do what I think you're looking to do. I will not support this measure, and I think I've made myself very clear in terms of why I have concerns about this. I do also have talked to the ARA and some of the other folks there, and they're very concerned also that we are giving the wrong message to the people that we're trying to entice to come in here and make this a better Attleboro. So I will not be supporting this.
Any other concerns or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Oh, Councilor Hall, excuse me.
Got to sign at the committee, right?
Yeah, I have to. So Councilor Hall is the only name, correct?
Right.
All right, just
No,
making sure.
two.
Oh, you also, I'm sorry. Is there anybody else who voted no on that? I didn't hear any
I
others.
didn't hear any.
I didn't hear any names when I said anything.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying. All right. So there are only two names, correct? So the motion passes on a 17 vote. I'm going to call that the zoning and land use, since it does involve zoning and land use.
Mr. President, point of order, I protest that you're assigning my new business to a councilor who's expressed a dissatisfaction for the motion, and you're assigning it to her committee.
I was not aware of that when I made the decision and I was going to refer to it. However,
I'm asking you to make a different decision.
I understand that, but I'm looking at it this way. This is a matter that involves zoning and land use. Right? I would expect that all of us,
Would be objective.
as councilors, would be looking at any measure that comes before us and doing our due diligence and doing it in an objective manner. You know, Council Hall is not the only member of that committee. There's two others
right.
that are on that committee, and a final vote will be of all 11 others. I would expect that this is not something that would be sat upon. There is a means for discharging things from committee if a councilor feels some chair is sitting on something for too long. I don't, based on my experience with Council Hall in the 8 months that she's been with us, I have not seen her sitting or holding on anything. I did not know that she was going to be making, a comment to that effect. There are two other members of that particular committee. I do expect for any measure that comes before this council, whether you approve of it or don't approve of it, that if it's assigned to your committee, that you will do the due diligence and make sure that it has the full vetting that we need on all issues. Because we're here to be making decisions that are to benefit the city as a collective body.
Yes.
So that is, that.
No comments.
Well, in accord with our rules of order, when a member appeals the decision of the presiding officer,
Right.
there shall be no debate on the appeal, and no other member shall participate in the discussion. And the presiding officer will put the question, shall the decision of the chair be sustained?
Right.
Okay.
Right. And it also does say that as a council president, that, as I say, that I do have the authority to explain a little bit more about my rational mind, so people know what my rational mind was. So at this point, again, he's talking from section 2-8.3 of our rules of procedure. This is what it says. The presiding officer, the parliamentarian, shall interpret and apply all rules, but the presiding officer's ruling may be challenged by a member raising a point of order, upon which the presiding officer shall rule before continuing any further discussion, which I did, in terms of explaining my rationale. Any councilor may appeal the presiding officer's ruling on a point of order to the council. Now we go into section 2-8.4. If the appeal is seconded, the member making the appeal may briefly explain the ruling, but there shall be no debate on the appeal and no other member shall participate in the discussion. So it's basically between myself and the chair at this point. The presiding officer shall then put the question, shall the decision of the chair be sustained? If a majority of the members present vote yes, the ruling of the presiding officer is sustained, otherwise it is overruled. So at this point, as you saw, we've handled section 2-8.3, where the point of order was made. I did explain my rationale. Ms. Connie and I were the only ones who participated in the discussion. So at this point, we're at the part where he made a point of order. Is there a second? In the chair's opinion, there was no second. So the decision stands as well.
I'm satisfied. Thank you, Mr.
You're
President.
most welcome, thank you. I would, that is all the business before us for today, and hopefully for the month. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All those in favor? At the moment, we don't have enough votes to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes, We're adjourned at 9:40. Thank you.
I pride myself on objectivity. I don't hold any personal things before the committee. Just don't discuss it. You know what I mean? We all disagree. We all disagree. I don't, I don't take anything personal.
Me either.
I'm gonna
Richard, I know you think I'm useless.